Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to YSN's Breakfast Burrito. I am DJ Yoakley, and Tommy P's a victim of the weather this morning, some cancellations and some 2-hour delays down East Liverpool. So we have a very special guest this morning. He is the voice of South Range. He is my broadcast partner over in the Thriller Dome. He is Mr. Anthony Hartwig. Anthony, how we doing this morning, brother?
Doing good, DJ. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely, man. Long time no see. It's been about, 12 hours since we
12
saw
hours.
each other last. So, hey, we always start with a little bit of local news. And obviously, we had the game last night. It was South Range and it was Crestwood. I wanted to keep calling them Crestview all last night, but obviously that wasn't the team that was in the building. Let's, kind of recap what happened last night and kind of how it went down.
Yeah, the Lady Raiders had a big 66-28 win, and it was a Crestwood team, as we talked on the broadcast. They struggled to get their first win. They don't have it yet. They're 0-14 now. One of those teams that up to last night hadn't been being blown out of the games. Just couldn't find ways to win. They were losing by 6, 8, 10, 4. But South Range really blew them out of the gym.
I mean, when we were looking at that game last night, from our perspective, it was Coach Matese and the troops really kind of subbing in and subbing out the entire game, trying to keep the legs fresh, trying to get some girls some time who didn't usually. But, I mean, I believe at every time on, every minute, every second on the floor last night, there was some sort of a starter on the floor for the Raiders. So Coach Matese, I think you said it best last night, trying to get them some work with some of these true varsity players that play all the time and get them kind of to up their game a little bit and get the development kick-started.
Yeah, the best way to develop young players is to have them playing with the varsity. So anytime he can insert some of the JVs and make sure that they're in there with a Danny Vuletic or in there with a Maddie Durkin, it just develops them a lot more than they could develop in the JV game.
So last night there was a G. Burbick Farms It Just Tastes Better player of the game. Who did you give that to?
We had a joint decision. We talked about it a lot. We discussed Sam Petrone for her defense on their post, but we gave it to Brooke Sourwine. This goes after every 50-50 ball, super aggressive on defense, and was everywhere in the stat column. She had 2 points, three rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals, and an assist. So everywhere on the stat column, goes after every 50-50 ball, really gives that team energy, and we gave it to her last night.
Yeah, and you had a great interview with her after the game. I was really pleased with that. And she's just all these South Range girls, and it seems like everybody's getting comfortable with YSN and the questions and essentially, the after game press conferences that we hold for the player of the game. So what did Brooke have to say after the game?
Brooke she's just happy to be out there, man. That's what I love about Brooke is she's just wants to play basketball, wants to go and be aggressive, and that's like her mindset. Like, I want to go and jump on someone, So she just talked about how she likes being aggressive and how it's her first year on the team and how it's been being on this team that's 15-2 right now. The first year, that's a good first year on a basketball team.
Yeah, as a junior in her first team, and I think you said last night, Coach Matese always says, "Man, I wish I had her for all 4 years."
Yes, he is very adamant. He's like, Anthony, if we had her for all 4 years, she'd be a varsity starter right now. But as it is, she's stuck with volleyball her first 2 years of high school and decided to come out for basketball this year. And, she just brings a lot of energy to that team.
It's nice whenever you can get those players out of the woodwork that are homegrown. So hats off to Brooke Sourwine last night. Hats off the entire Raider squad on a 66-28 victory over Crestwood. Some other scores that you might be interested in: the Jackson Milton Blue Jays 50-30 over Western Reserve.
And
41.
I think Jackson Milton won the league with that win.
Did they? Okay. Well, I mean, that's good heads up research by you, my friend. As always a step ahead of me. We also had the Middle Ridge Rams 60-41 over Sebring. We had the Crestview Rebels, the Lady Rebels, 66-47 over Matthews. So a big win in Crestview. That's huge in the Rebel Dome. We also had a really tight game, Waterloo over Springfield, 33-28. And Mr. P's, that might be why he's not here this morning. A big victory for the boys, 60-45 over the Beaver Local Beavers. We talked about it yesterday. Huge rivalry and the Beavers, were able to not protect the home floor, and the Potters were able to go in and steal one on the road. So hats off to the East Liverpool Potters last night. And it looks like the girls team actually did come out victorious. So 60-54 over Oak Glen. So that's a big win for them. Looking some other scores from around the area. Girls varsity b-ball, of course, 60-28. It was the Lisbon Blue Devils over Michael and Mitchell Reiner's Wellsville Tigers. That game was on YSN last night. Excuse me. What else we have? Toronto gets the win over Southern 38-33. Columbiana, big victory, 73-31 over Letonia. And I'll tell you what, that was the girls. Tonight, you got the guys. I'll be calling that action again in the Bear Den. So it'll be interesting. Those teams really scrappy, and they've been on – both teams have been on the downside of a couple really great close games. So really looking forward to that one. And that's about all we got, man. We got some games tonight, obviously, on the network, so we're excited about that. You and I have some time off, man. It's going to be a minute before we get back together, so it's good to have you on the show this morning.
Yeah, it is. The boys are right now in the middle of a well-deserved week off. They need to get healthy. Jackson Anderson was recovering from his illness, and they just need to get healthy. So they're taking this week and a half off and preparing for Liberty next Friday. And you talk about those scores, Columbiana's going to be one of those girls teams that's in South Range's tournament bracket. So I'm sure Coach Matisse is looking at every game that they have because they don't play Columbiana this year. So that's one of the teams that's really going to be trying to make some noise. I think they only have 2 losses on the year. Very good team down there in Columbiana for the girls' side.
Yeah, I'm really excited to not only be part of that game, but both teams, obviously YSN schools. So we'll have coverage of that game whenever or if it shall occur. So we're excited for that, and obviously we're rooting for both teams. We're just hoping for a good game. So hopefully that's the case. Anthony, in case people aren't familiar with you, why don't you give them kind of a background on who you are and essentially why you're part of YSN?
Well, Anthony Hartwick. I went to South Range. I graduated in 2011. I am just a fresh off graduating from Youngstown State University with a degree in telecommunications. Awesome. I had an awesome opportunity down there to be parts of the ESPN3 volleyball coverage for 2 full seasons. And a softball season to add to that. So it was awesome getting reps on ESPN3. It really prepared me for YSN. And then when I saw what you were doing with the South Range program down there for the football team, I just had to try to be a part of it, and I was glad that you had room.
Yeah, man, we're happy to have you. And he's a very modest individual, is Anthony. And the best thing about him is he's a local product, but he is nationally recognized for what he does. You can see he's got the Jackets jersey on right there. He's a huge Georgia Tech fan. And he's been, I think he threw out the first pitch at a Georgia Tech softball game. Very cool. So you are well loved around the United States, my friend. And you have ties in Kansas City. You have ties in Georgia. You got ties seemingly everywhere. So we're happy to have you here on YSN. I appreciate you filling in last minute for here on the burrito for Tommy, and he does too. So let's get to some topics, man. Let's start some jousting a little bit. The biggest thing, you and I have had this conversation before about conferences. This is not just at the local regional level. It's on the national level. From a conference standpoint, who benefits if there's a conference shakeup? And I give you, for instance, when the Big Ten shook up a little bit, and I think there's 12 teams now in the Big Ten. You talk about the Big East going away. Who really benefits in that? Is it the conference? Is it the NCAA? Or is it the individual teams?
I think it's all. I mean, the Big Ten, for example, when they added Maryland and Rutgers and all those other teams, some from the ACC, some from the Big East, it just made them a little bit better when it comes to resume. So, maybe not in football, but in basketball, when you go play a Maryland on the road, that's a big win because Maryland's a big basketball program, especially in the women's game. Maryland's huge. So when the Big Ten has a Maryland for teams to go play, that just ups your tournament resume. So it really improves the teams because they get to play better schools, and it improves the conference because they get the big programs coming in. And I think it improves the NCAA because it improves their product. The unfortunate thing is the conferences those teams leave kind of get hurt because, the Big East is done. There's that American Conference that it kind of morphed into, and sometimes those conferences that the teams leave are the ones that really get hurt. So like the mid-major conferences.
Do you think that there's a benefit to, I mean, really any team benefits right away from changing conferences or changing leagues? I mean, for instance, since Pitt has moved over to the ACC, there's been no real, stake in the ground. I mean, they went from being constant perennial powerhouses in the Big East to trying to just compete. And on the basketball side, we alluded to it a couple of days ago, they don't even have a conference win to this season, to their record this year. So, I mean, is that something that you think takes time to rebuild programs when you change conferences, or do you think it's possible to go over and start competing right away?
It is possible. I mean, maybe not with Pitt, but you see it with Louisville is now competing in the ACC. You see teams like what I like is Syracuse going from the Big East to the ACC. Um, and I just like the Pittsburgh. It's like going from a mid-major conference, and then you're competing, especially in basketball. I mean, you have to all of a sudden you're competing with Duke twice a year, and that's a gauntlet of a conference. And I think any coach would be thrilled to have their teams going up against those teams every day.
I mean, when you talk about the Big Ten, I mean, most of our viewers are very familiar with what the Big Ten is and the teams in the Big Ten. I mean, when Rutgers leaves the Big East and heads to the Big Ten, what's the advantage for them other than bringing in some big schools to their campsite, to their campground, and making some money?
I think you got to look big picture. You got to look long road. I think it's going to bring in better recruits. It's going to bring in better players. It's going to make those players better because they're going up against better competition. It just raises the level of play that you have to meet. It raises your standard. You know what I mean? So it's not immediate success for Rutgers, but I think really long road. You got to look at what it's going to mean to that program 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
So stepping out of the collegiate, man, I can't. I did it yesterday. I can't get that damn word right. Stepping out of the collegiate realm into the professional realm. I mean, we hear about conference, or I guess league changes all the time in baseball and basketball, in football even. Baseball probably the most relevant. I think that there's going to be a shakeup in the near future. When you talk about teams like the Pirates, the Reds, the Indians, even the Royals, your team. If you're able to shake up that league, what does it mean for rivalries? I mean, the Royals seemingly are rivals with everybody. The Pirates wish they could have a rival, period. I mean, they wish they were relevant enough right now to have a rival. But at the end, I mean, really, does it make sense to shake up the major leagues to kind of give fans what they want and try to maybe hit the reset button on some of the new fans and casual fans?
That's one of the. I think when you go to the pros, it's one of the things they're shaking it up because of more than just the game. They're looking for like who can make the most money and stuff like that. And rivalries in baseball. I mean, man, the Royals and the Indians. I get into it. And if we didn't play the Indians 19 times, I don't know what I'd do with myself. So uh, it'd be hard to not be in the Indians division. That'd be a tough thing for a fan.
Well, I mean, yeah, that rivalry goes back quite a ways. I mean, you talk about the Sweeney days where he used to just absolutely torment the Indians seemingly every at bat. But I mean, I'm talking about the Astros. Whenever you take the Astros from the NL Central and put them in the AL West, and I mean that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And then they go and win a World Series. I mean. Here's a follow-up question. If the Angels, or I'm sorry, not the Angels, I got the Angels on the brain this morning, literally and figuratively. If the Astros are still in the NL Central, did they win a World Series last year?
Yeah, because that team is built for an AL, AL winning. They have the hitters lineups. I don't know if that team would really survive in the National League consistently, especially the NL Central. I mean, that's tough. You have the Cubs, the Brewers are really improving, and the Cardinals are always a part of it. So that's a tough division to go and win. And I don't know if they'd even make the playoffs if they were in the NL Central. To be honest, last year, I mean, it's hard to imagine with how good they were, but that's a tough division to be a part of, and they kind of had easy runnings in the AL West last year.
And I guess the big thing is when you look at it, when you do a shakeup or when you do a realignment, do you look at just where geographically a team's on the map, or do you look at the rivalries? I mean, I would love to see, and I don't think it'll ever happen. And if it does, I'll be excited. I'll be the first one to line up for tickets, and that's kind of what probably they're looking for. But imagine the Indians and the Pirates in the same league, in the same division, being able to play. The old days, you just had what, three divisions essentially. The when I was growing up, so or maybe it was two divisions, the East and the West, or something like that. I was too young to really care. I just loved the game. So when you look at it, is that something that the commissioner and the owner should look at if they're actually looking for realignment? Is the geographic location, or they just look at how many tickets we can sell during any given year?
Yeah, I think they should look at where teams are and if they could set up rivalries. Like if they could place Cleveland and Pittsburgh and make that a consistent division rivalry, I think they would love to do that. I mean, the Pittsburgh Cleveland rivalry is alive and well in football, but the other sports, either Pittsburgh doesn't have a team or Cleveland doesn't have a team. So to set up another Cleveland Pittsburgh rivalry, that'd be
well. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I'm not sure that the Pittsburgh Cleveland rivalry is alive and well. I think that it's there. I think that it's more alive and well for Cleveland fans because they just pray that they can stay in the game. But yeah, I'm with you.
Definition of rivalry. I had to grow up not a fan of either team, and I had to listen to both fans argue with each other. So I would say that the rivalry's there. Maybe not the competitiveness, but the rivalry's there.
Hey, I'll tell you the same thing that I tell you every other day. There's lots of real estate available in Kansas City for you to go move out there, and you don't have to hear about us bicker anymore. Okay, bud?
Yeah, the thing about Kansas City is they don't really have. It's like Kansas City and then St. Louis, and then I think the Royals cover like 5 states with their broadcasting network because there's really no one else there. So it's our own little world.
Hey, as long as you keep your mitts off our hockey team, we're going to be okay.
We used to have a hockey team, I think, in Kansas City. I think they were the Blades or something.
Yeah, but you wanted the Penguins. You ain't going to get them, especially now. And that would have been, oh, can you imagine if Kansas City would have gotten the Penguins and they would have won 2 championships, 2 Stanley Cups, within the first few years of their existence? Pittsburgh would be on fire right now. It'd be literally on fire.
I might turn into a hockey fan if that happened. I mean,
no, it ain't happening. Just stop. We'd rather not have you be a hockey fan and keep the Penguins than Kansas City, whatever you guys want to call yourselves. Yeah,
City Kings.
You're gonna be the Kansas City Kings. We already have one king, I guess, in the NHL, the LA Kings.
No, I think the Kansas City Kings were the basketball team that moved to Sacramento. So
gotcha.
We've had the NBA franchise in our city too. So I don't know if we're looking to get a basketball in there too.
Well, you used to have an Alex Smith in your city too, and no longer have that. So that's a little zinger with a little inside joke. But again, going back to the conference shakeups, do you think there's a benefit to being an independent? We talked about Notre Dame before the burrito started. I mean, we even at the local high school level, is there benefits from being out of a conference, out of a league?
I think South Range has proven that right. I don't think they make it to the state semifinals without being independent this year. I mean, the schedule they had to go through and the schedule that they were able to go through because they were independent really helped them prepare for the teams that you're going to see deep into the tournament that either are independent or playing really huge leagues. So it really helps.
Do you think it's tough for the athletes and the coaches to kind of, essentially have, I don't want to say nothing to play for, but you're not looking at basically championship banners on your wall unless you go pretty decently far in the tournament?
Yeah, that's tough because it's tough to motivate kids to win when there's really nothing to win for in the regular season. It's like every win you're like, yeah, this is preparing us for the tournament, but it's hard to buy into that night in and night out. So you just kind of try to live up rivalries. You still play some of your old rivals, South Range and Crestview still play each other, and that gets both those teams riled up to beat one another. On the basketball sense, anytime South Range plays Springfield, huge rivalry. So they're all geared up to beat them. And you talk to Brennan Toy, he does not like Springfield. So you do stuff like that to keep the kids motivated to win the regular season, so you are preparing for the tournament.
So from a NCAA level, though, I mean, you talk about the teams, and probably the most popular team that is independent, at least in football, is Notre Dame. Are there benefits to their scheduling, or are there benefits to them staying independent, other than the fact that they just can take all the money themselves with their TV contract, right? Instead of having to share it within 10, 11 teams.
And it's weird because Notre Dame is independent, but they still have this contract where they have to play like 2 ACC schools a year.
Right.
They're always playing last year they played Miami, I think, and then they played maybe Louisville or something. But they have to play like ACC schools, at least 2 of them every year, just to kind of keep in that ACC brand. But I think that TV deal is what's keeping them independent for football, because they're on every week, their own channel, their own broadcast network.
Well, absolutely. If you can have if you can have the whole pizza and not have to share it with anybody, but maybe 1 or 2 slices, you're going to get fat on what you're used to. And when somebody knocks on your door and says, "Hey, we'll give you, this and this, but you got to share that whole pizza," essentially with everybody. I mean, you go from having 10 slices to having 1, 2 slices of that pie. So, I mean, if you're Notre Dame, would you want to give up that TV contract for going to a conference?
It's a tough thing because it hasn't translated into a championship for Notre Dame being independent. Even though they get USC and Michigan usually on their schedule every year, and they either need to start scheduling even tougher opponents, try to get like an Alabama or an SEC school to come up to South Bend, or I think they should just kind of switch over to the ACC like all their other sports, and that way they're playing. ACC is strong in football. They have 4 or 5 ranked teams a year, and then you go for a conference championship, and that just, I think playing for a conference championship gears you up to play in those big high stakes bowl games because you're already playing important games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and I think you're familiar with some of the larger conferences, the SEC, the ACC, the Big Ten. So let's put, we always do the Anthony Hartwig coach at halftime. Let's put you in the commissioner's shoes. If you're a commissioner of a big conference, what's the one team in a smaller conference that you want to attract right now, given their popularity or given their track record or given kind of where they're at?
I mean, in basketball, who wouldn't want Wichita State? I mean, I bet the Big 12 would love to bring in Wichita State and have them play Kansas every year, because that rivalry has really been growing. I mean, there was a year that Kansas refused to play Wichita State because they didn't want to bring them to Lawrence and lose to them on their court. So I think Wichita State in basketball, that's a real big school that I bet the Big 12 wants. Another team I think you see is UCF. I mean, the things that they're doing in football and basket, those guys, you got to get them in the SEC or the ACC or something down there. Get them out of the AAC or whatever. Conference USA, is that what they're a part of?
I believe so. You stole my thunder, man. UCF is my team. I love the way their swagger, the way that they're celebrating their own national championship that was not even close to given to them, and the way that they say they want to play Alabama. I mean, everybody says they want to play Alabama, but do they really?
But then they get to the Alabama game and they're like,
oh, wait a minute. Time out. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's, if you're right now, I think that was a good point with Wichita State. I think you kind of uncovered something and really some excitement, build some excitement around that program. The Shockers, I mean, they're going to be another perennial powerhouse. I think, they were a while ago, and people were more excited about their mascot than the actual product. But I think that at the end of the day, the Shockers are a team that's going to be really attractive to a bigger conference, as well as UCF, because UCF's going to bring dollars, and they're going to bring a good game wherever they go. So hopefully that happens, and I'm with you, man. I'm on board. We're having kind of a yolk and peas moment here where we can't disagree. So
no.
Yeah, so let's step into the next one, which is a very very popular topic for you, and one of the reasons we had you on the show in the first place. Originally, it was just going to be a 5 to 10 minute interview, man, but I'm happy to have you here, and let's talk about your specialty. You're a huge advocate for girls and women's sports, and have been for a very long time. Man, I got to tell you, there's a revolution going on with girls and women's sports, and it's got me a little bit excited because when you talk about it and you take the sexism out of it, you look at it. It's a good product. It's a pure product. We kind of had the argument the other night about kind of where things are headed. So let's talk about it. Where do you see this revolution coming from, and where do you see it going?
The important thing to realize first is its growth is there. I mean, it is definitely growing. You know, and you can see it in the young ranks. I mean, more girls are going out for junior high, high school sports than ever before. I'm sure the numbers would back me up. I don't have numbers they give you, but I'm sure numbers would back me up that more high school, junior high girls are going out for sports than we've ever seen. It's there.
What do you think is causing this kind of I guess light bulb to go on for several? I mean, for families, for girls, for women in general, to have them kind of begin, get better, and continue that rise to. I guess it's really a meteoric rise to competing with boy sports and men's sports.
Well, it's become okay to be a female athlete now. I mean, you see teams like UConn in the women's basketball, and what girl would see that and say, "Man, I want to be a part of that UConn basketball team," you know? And they're winning 100 games in a row without losing. I mean, and they're winning by 28 points a game. So I think it's this revolution we're seeing. The growth is there, and they're seeing a lot of female athlete role models to look up to, and a lot more than you've seen even from 10 years ago. You're seeing it now. And when they see that, you're like, hey, okay, I can go do that. It's more possible for a young girl to see that and dream about being an athlete than it was even 10 years ago.
When you see revolutions like this, and we talked about golf the other day, there's always a face to it. In professional wrestling, it was Hulk Hogan. In golf, it was Tiger Woods. Baseball was Babe Ruth. I mean, you look at these and kind of these spikes in excitement and in popularity. Michael Jordan in basketball, LeBron James in basketball. Is there a face of this revolution for girls and for women to look up to?
Well, I think when every sport has a face. Softball, it's Jenny Finch. The stuff that she's able to do with her, she tours the country. She goes and she still runs camps. She strikes out Major League Baseball players on TV. But when basketball, it's tougher because the WNBA isn't really a great spot right now where it can put someone on a pedestal. But you have girls like Brittany Griner a couple years ago in Baylor that was dunking in the tournament. Candace Parker, a great player that people watch from Tennessee and now playing in the WNBA for the Sparks. Um, Maya Moore played for UConn. I think Gino Auriemma, the things that he's doing as a coach is something that really is really helping the basketball standpoint. And then volleyball, I mean, it's there too. When you look at programs like Penn State and what they're able to do with their volleyball program and the exposure they're getting, that's something that little girls look to and say, "Ah, man, I want to play for Penn State." You know.
So when we first met, you talked to me about kind of your borderline obsession with girls and women's sports. Talk to me about how you kind of were drawn to that and why it really has a special place in your heart over, I don't want to say over boys and men's sports, but why that you're drawn to it so frequently and so passionately.
Well, it started because I had the pleasure of going to school with very talented athletes who were females. My senior class had 6 people on the basketball court that I followed from when I was in 8th grade. They were just super fun to watch, and the thing that got me really interested is they embraced me as a fan. And then, like the growth of women's sports in general, my growth, went from high school. I have a good friend named Aaron Gabriel who played for Poland, got recruited for Tennessee, went to play for Tennessee, and then one of her teammates got drafted by the professional softball league. So I went and became a season ticket holder for professional softball. So it's been kind of a growth from just following high schoolers to now I'm just connected to a bunch of women athletes all over the country because of what I've been able to kind of unravel, the professional league, the college league, and I have friends that are when softball season clicks, my loyalties are like everywhere because I have friends that coach for USF. I have friends that coach for Houston, Syracuse. I'm still a Georgia Tech fan. Um, I, I stay with Tennessee because I've loved what they're doing in their program. I just have a friend that just now transferred to LSU to go play down for that program. So softball, I'm excited. It starts in 1 week, um, and baseball is right on the heels. I think it starts in 2 weeks. But the things that got me is the attention they get isn't what they deserve. They work just as hard as the guys do. They put in the same amount of study time as a student athlete, and especially in the high school level, when I would go to games in high school, and we wouldn't have a student section for the girls' game or anything, I was kind of drawn to supporting those athletes because they had the talent and the work ethic to deserve it, and I felt that they needed someone that wasn't obligated to be there to show their support.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. And I think one of the first conversations we had was essentially you saying, "Hey, I'll be a part of this, but we need to make sure that the girls get just as much attention as the boys."
Mm-hmm.
And we've done, or at least we've tried to do exactly what you hope for. So let's shift gears a little bit. You got some devastating news earlier this week. I know you were kind of in a funk about one of the teams that you follow, the Akron Racers. Can you kind of give us an update on kind of the situation there and how it affects the local area here and the team itself?
DJ, it's been a crazy week for softball. A week ago, I would tell you that softball had a very strong and very growing professional league, but last Friday, I wake up to news that the Akron Racers, who are one of the professional teams, and they got I want to say bought out. It's kind of one of those things where they were having a couple financial issues. They went to the league, and the league, um, they gave them a plan. They said, "Here's what we can do," and they brought a Chinese owner in, a half owner, and now it's going to be a Chinese affiliate because China already has a franchise in the league. So it's going to be a team that's kind of a mix between China players and American players, and they're not the Akron Racers anymore. They're going to be the Cleveland Comets. Um, but then after that news broke on Sunday, the reigning champions of that league, the Houston Scrapyard Dogs, they decided to leave the league, and that just caused a huge uproar because they were mad about bringing in international players and taking American jobs. So they decided they wanted to leave the league, and then the league came out and terminated their contract, so they can't come back to the league. And it's been a rough time for the MPF, and I think there have been talks that the Scrapyard Dogs want to start their own professional league away from the MPF. I think they have talks to have 3 teams right now ready for this summer. It's a crazy thing. Nothing's really for sure now. I'm just kind of gonna sit back and enjoy college softball and see how the professional scope works out because nothing's going to be for sure until summer when they start. And the thing about the professional softball, they're still going to have 5 teams. They're still going to have a season. It's just not going to look like what it did last year.
So for I guess that spike that we were talking about that professional softball is looking for, this obviously can't help it, correct?
No, it's one of those things that I think it helps it when it comes to money sustaining the league because they're bringing in some foreign people that can dish out some money. But it's not a good look when your teams are leaving and then you're fighting with the teams that are leaving and you've lost your longest standing franchise because Akron Racers have been there for 17 years and they were the longest standing franchise. So when you lose that, it's just not a good PR look. And the league took about 3 or 4 days to come out with a statement. Their PR was behind. It's just not a good look. So hopefully they can kind of work something out where it is a good look again, and because they need corporate sponsorship to really grow. I mean that's what's holding them back is some big corporate sponsorship to come and put their stake in the ground for softball because college softball is there. I mean they're selling out everything. They double the ratings of college baseball on TV. ESPN just said they're going to do over 600 college softball games this season. So college is there, and it's crazy because the same players go and play professionally in the pros, and there's this like disconnect from college to pro. It's like the interest this goes away somehow.
Well, let me ask you this: that same disconnect you're talking about probably goes from college basketball to the WNBA. The WNBA, I remember we got next whenever I was growing up, and the excitement, the marketing around it was fantastic. You talk about Cheryl Swoops and some of the greats that played in the WNBA, and now it's a watered down product. It's more of a gimmicky. In my humble opinion, you probably followed a lot closer than I do. It's more of a gimmicky event to kind of fill time for basketball fans after the NBA season concludes. Would you agree?
From the corporate standpoint, absolutely. I mean, they're just trying to stay afloat, and they'll do whatever it takes. You know, they're putting the jerseys have all the advertisers on it, kind of like soccer, and they're just doing whatever it takes. But the players don't care. You know, that's the thing about women's sports. The players, if you say we are going to pay you to play the sport you love, they're going to go out and they're going to compete. And I think the game itself is thriving in the WNBA. But the problem, just like every other professional women's sport, as far as teams, it's just not getting off the ground as a financial corporate business, you know, kind of thing where we can say the WNBA is a profitable product.
Getting back to the racers a little bit, the Akron racers, your heart is swole for them. You were kind of bringing me up to speed on some of the back and forth and the fight that the Akron racers and some of the people that are part of that program are having. And one of the instances you presented was, look at this Facebook comment, look at this Twitter comment that's saying they're not going to give up their name. They are still going to want to be known as the Akron Racers instead of the Cleveland Comets. What kind of turmoil and what kind of obstacles does that present for the current situation? If the players and the management want to be known as the Racers and keep that promotion and keep that marketing around it and their logos and things of that nature, but the team that buys you, they want you to be the Cleveland Comets. What does that do for the product moving forward?
Like I said, it's a crazy time for the professional softball, and right now I don't know how to answer that because right now the old GM of the Racers is running the social media for Akron Racers, and I don't know if they're gonna like make a separate social media for this new team because she's supposed to. They named her as president.
Okay.
And she's supposed to keep up with the Akron Racers foundations and charities and keep all those running. And they're gonna keep calling that Akron Racers Foundation, Akron Racers Charity. Firestone Stadium's still gonna host college events and high school events. South Range usually plays there. So she's in charge of making sure all that stays afloat. And I think she wants to make sure that the Akron Racers stay top of mind because she wants to bring them back. She wants to make sure that the Akron Racers get on the field again somehow. And, you know, I'm not the best person to speak on this because I'm close to players, but I didn't go through the process. But from my point of view, from what I've heard, is this a lot of people that were playing for the Racers aren't anymore, and they just want to keep that hope alive that they'll have an Akron Racers again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that when you become so familiar with a product and you can, become so in love and passionate about somebody who rolled the dice on you or gave you a chance, it's hard to let go. And I think, you kind of had a little bit of that going on. And I think everybody can appreciate that. But at the end of the day, the Akron Racers still want to be known as the Akron Racers, and they don't want to. Well, I guess the better question, I might have missed this. Are they going to relocate?
That's up in the air too. I mean, the owner has come out and said he wants to still play in Firestone, but it's kind of a decision that is still up in the air. I can't imagine them being called Cleveland and still playing
in Akron.
Yeah, but because it's one of those things that Akron people, if you call them Cleveland, they hate it.
Well, I'll tell you what. One guy that can fix this, and he doesn't live too far away from the Akron area, would be Mr. James. You can look him up in the phone book, I think. I don't know, maybe not. But
I would say if someone wants more insight that.
Oh, I think we're losing you, bud. You there? All right. I think.
Am I back up?
Yep, you're back up. You're good.
You can get on anything. Hulu, you can get on DVD from Amazon. It's called Burn the Ships, and they came out with it last year. And it's about the Akron Racers, but it's also about the league. It's about what they've gone through, what struggles they go through, and it's amazing to see what these girls sacrifice to go and play softball professionally. I mean, they get paid. If they're lucky, they might get paid $10,000 a summer. Most of them probably get paid $5,000 to $7,000 a summer. And it's just one of those things where you watch it and it's like, we gotta build this. We gotta make sure it grows.
Anthony, thank you so much for your insights on that. Obviously, you educated me, and you educate me every single time we do a broadcast, and it's exciting, man. I'll give it to you. Hats off to you, because you've got me excited about girls and women's sports when I didn't think it was possible. So obviously, I love doing those South Range games with you. I love doing just girls, sports in general now, because there is an excitement, there is a movement, and I think that here at YSN we're going to continue that. And Anthony Hartwig, I will give you all the credit in the world for being the guy that's raising the banner and raising the flag for girls sports here on your sports network.
Absolutely, anytime I can. I mean, and South Range's programs, the success they've had have really helped do it. I mean, the girls program is strong, and the softball program is strong, and the volleyball program is strong. So when you go to a school that has those strong programs, it kind of instills that excitement.
So we're going to shift gears here now to one of your passionate guys that you followed, because you're wearing that Ramblin' Wreck jersey and the Georgia Tech hat. I read on ESPN, Stephon Marbury. Yes, that Stephon Marbury is getting ready to hang it up. He's almost 41 years old. He's been playing in China for quite some time, and he's ready to hang up the old Starberries. So I guess that brings us to the question of, what is he going to be remembered for? What are you going to remember Stephon Marbury for more? Is it going to be his game, or is it going to be his $8 shoes? And because you're a Stephon Marbury fan, because he's from Georgia Tech, I'll give you the floor, my friend.
Well, DJ, I got to tell you that Stephon Marbury is one of those kids that came from New York to Georgia Tech to play for Bobby Crimmins at Georgia Tech, and he really started that one and done kind of thing. I mean, it wasn't really a thing before Stephon Marbury came for Georgia Tech for a year. And I mean, I talked to you last night. I don't really watch the NBA that much, but I know Stephon Marbury, and I know what he did for Georgia Tech. And I still watch old games that he played for Georgia Tech, and it's amazing what he's been able to do. We talk about old athletes. It's not common. I mean, Tom Brady's doing it. But playing in China at a high level, it's competitive over there. To do it at the age of 41 and finally decide to hang it up, that's a remarkable achievement.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see that he's still going. I'll be honest, I had no idea that the guy was even still around. But I will answer my question with my humble opinion, and I believe that more people will remember Stephon Marbury for his $8 shoes from Stephen Barry's, for the Starberry tattoo. I think it's on his head. So his personal branding was incredible. His shoes were awful. I had about 10 pair of them because, well, they're $8. So for the price that you one pair of Nikes, I was able to get 10 pair of Starberries. And this was right before I got married. And I remember the second that we moved into our humble abode here on Ashley Lane, somehow my Starberries went missing, and I'm still missing them to this day. So if you know where 10 pair of Starberries are, I am looking for them for the last 10 years. And that is $80 that I invested into the Starberry brand. And to me, that's what he's going to be remembered for, man. They were a terrible shoe. It was a joke. It was cheap. And I know the demographic he was going after probably helped them, but somewhere overseas, there's a bunch of kids wearing some Starberries and loving life. But that's just not for me, man. And I think his game was probably as much garbage as his shoe brand.
Not at Tech. That's all I have to say.
Well, I think somebody's a little biased. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I didn't watch him in the NBA because I really don't watch the NBA, and I've told you that. But at Tech, he really before him, Kenny Anderson, then Stephon Marbury, then Jared Jack. I mean, that was point guard university for the '90s into the 2000s.
Well, let me give you the highlight tape. You got a trash can in your room?
Yeah.
Yeah, take a look in there, and that's about his career highlights in the NBA.
Yeah, it'll go right next to your idea of Alex Smith.
Oh, well, that's a fight. That's a fight for another time, my friend. So, I mean, what's your take? Your final take is Stephon Marbury is going to be remembered as a part of the Ramblin' Wreck?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, my heart, he really put Georgia Tech basketball on the map. Well, not on the map, but he continued it because when Kenny Anderson left and that Lethal Weapon 3 in the early 90s, when they left and Stephon Marbury came in out of New York. And I think he also, I mean, in the scale of college basketball, like I said, he kind of started that one and done deal because he went to Georgia Tech for a year and then went right to the NBA. And after that, it became kind of a more consistent thing. And right now we're seeing it almost every team in the big conference has like one freshman that you think, man, they could play in the NBA next year.
So that's going to lead us to our social media question of the day. We'll post it up on Twitter or on Facebook page. And guess what? I think I'll get back into Instagram, Ant. I think we're back in. Yeah, so we're on point, America. But our social media question is going to be Starberry #trash or treasure. So chime in on YSN. If you had a pair of Starberries, give us your best story. Give us kind of your opinion, not only on the shoe brand, if you had them, if you didn't, but definitely if you think Stephon Marbury is somebody that's going to go down as a memorable piece of NBA history, or in your case, Ant, the NCAA history. So check that out. YSN Media on Facebook, YSN Local, I think on Twitter, YSN Live on Instagram, which we are back in. We've been out for almost a week, and man, it's been driving Ant wild.
It's just one of the Instagrams, one of those ones where I can save the video that you post and post it on my own personal accounts. So that's what I like about the Instagram.
I love that you keep me on point, man. You every time there's something that goes wrong, you're like, hey, we gotta get on the Instagram. But you know what? You keep me humble. You keep me excited, and sometimes you keep me frustrated. But you know what? Nonetheless, my friend, you were my broadcast partner, and you were my friend. And YSN thrives because you stay on my ass 24/7. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I mean, what am I here for, right?
That's right. That's right. You're here to crack jokes when we're up on the balcony at South Range. That's what you're here for. And to give me jokes about how great Alex Smith is. Next topic. Next topic and our final topic of the day. One that you and I kind of are, well, I know we're not going to see eye to eye on. But what is the most relevant All-Star game in professional sports? And I'm talking major sports, basketball, hockey, football, baseball. I guess that's really all there is. But I mean, in your humble opinion, Ant, what do you think, man? It's kind of a toss-up because to me they're all kind of a watered-down product.
Well, I get on you about the Pro Bowl because. But I'm not gonna say the Pro Bowl. I know what that is. I know that it's not exactly. It's kind of the consolation game. Guys really don't want to be there.
I think we lost the feed with Anthony again. So, there you go.
Until 2 years ago, it'd be the All-Star game, right? For baseball, because it decided the World Series home field advantage. But now they've done away with that. But I think. I would still go with baseball because it's still one of those sports that you can't just go and halfway through it. You're playing,
Yeah, I'm with you. I
think from a product standpoint, I would go with baseball.
Yeah, I'm with you from a purist standpoint. Baseball is probably the number one, I would say. I'd stand with you on that. But from a just actual relevancy standpoint, I think the basketball brings a lot to the table. I think that there's more people that watch the dunk contest. There's, I mean, the dunk contest is very comparable to the home run derby, but any more of the home run derby, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of boring because the balls are juiced, and things of that nature. The NBA, if you look at the All-Star game and you look at the 3-point contest and the dunk contest, you can't really fix that. You know what I mean? You can't. If you can, I guess if you're Tom Brady, if you deflate the balls and go try to dunk or something, but in reality. The dunk contest, the one that stands out to me, obviously, with Jordan's dunk when I was very, very young. And then there was a couple, one, I think a few years ago, the birthday candle. I don't know if you remember the cupcake on the backboard, or on the iron, the back of the iron, and they blew out the birthday candle and dunked it. And then there was Dwight Howard's Superman dunk. I mean, the All-Star game for the NBA, it's always exciting. There's always celebrities there and taking it in. You know, there's zero defense, but some of the stuff they pull off is pretty incredible. I mean, you start seeing like half-court shots go in, just Drano, like LeBron does all the time. To me, the basketball product is the most relevant across all the major sports. I mean, you look at hockey. I mean, do you remember the glow puck at all? I think it was Fox that started the glow puck. So everywhere, you know, people were trying to maintain where the puck was when they were trying to get the casual fan to like hockey again, and the puck would glow based on, you know, blue or red, or I don't even know if there was green in there, but it would glow based on how hard it was or how fast it was traveling, and it was a train wreck. And you know, it was exciting for like kids, but to the purists, for the traditionalists, it was garbage. And thank goodness they got rid of that. But I mean, you talk about the Pro Bowl. You and I kind of went back and forth on the Pro Bowl last night. And I know you were kind of ribbing me on, trying to get me, you know, to lose my flair. But man, the Pro Bowl is it's bad. It's really bad. What's your take?
I think this year I watched it because there were some Chiefs in it, and the last 4 minutes were actually good football. But other than that, it was because, you know, you give the players what, $64,000 if they win, and it looked like it was a close game, and they actually cared about it the last 4 minutes. Von Miller got a sack fumble on Goff that was like, it was like a real game sack. It wasn't like I'm gonna touch you with two hand sack. But other than that, like you said, it's just the guys don't really want to be there half the time, and they're trying to do the skills competition like the NBA. It's just not as fun to watch at all. To watch, you know, Derek Carr throw a football into a spinning ring while it's going across the field. That's not fun to watch to me. I mean, I get what they're trying to do, and I like that they moved it out of Hawaii because it gets more people there. But they're trying. That's what I mean. It's not clicking for me.
For me, it's the actual it's not the game that gets me excited. It is the activities. It is the skills competitions that get me going. I'd like to see a skills competition in baseball. You know what I mean? Like doing, you know, 60 times, or, you know, pop times for catchers, or, you know, hitting targets on the field. Kind of like the old baseball games you used to do on EA Sports, MVP Baseball. That stuff would be interesting to me, more than just home runs, because home runs are great. They're exciting. They get souvenirs in the crowds. They get butts in the seats, no doubt. And I think it could really be the cherry on top. But I think that a skills competition in baseball would be exciting. Imagine, you know, I guess you have to worry about injury, but imagine having like a flashy contest with, you know, guys like Manny Machado on defense, and they've got to not only backhand the ball or, you know, do something fancy with it, but throw the ball over to first on a rope and make the play, finish the play. Just some stuff that I've thought about with some of my friends. But I think the skills competition, you know, for basketball, that gets me excited. I like seeing that talent. I also like seeing the skills I'm unlike you. I like seeing that Derek Carr throw the ball through the ring of death and see if he can do it. My favorite one actually was the one where it was a few years ago. Drew Brees and Peyton Manning had to throw the ball like on the run. Like the ball was painted, so they had to chuck it, and it was basically, I guess, like a Nerf ball or something that they had to hit the target, and it showed where they hit it. That's the stuff that kind of got me going, because you see them, without their helmet on. You see them kind of a little bit looser, but they're still at the very heart of it. They're competitive guys, and even with no money on the line, they still want to carry that trophy off the field.
Did you like the dodgeball for the NFL players in the skills competition?
I will tell you this: I am always a fan of dodgeball. Number one, above all else, if there ever is a dodgeball league, we will carry it on YSN.
And call it YSN the Ocho.
That's it, man. But I'll tell you this: we're working on some stuff on YSN for some dodgeball, and it's under wraps. It's really under the hat a little bit, but coming soon, you might see some promotional material for dodgeball on YSN. We're trying to get it started. I think it's something that we can do. We're just looking for the right partners, and as always, but imagine if you saw a dodgeball league on your sports network. Tell me that wouldn't be invigorating to watch every Friday.
The thing though, that you can get kind of creative with the way you broadcast that too. Like you're calling the games, you don't have to be as structured as you are for a basketball or a football game. You can just kind of, it's a bold move there, that kind of stuff.
Yep, that's exactly what we're looking for. So keep your eyes open. I don't want to show our cards too soon, but the YSN Dodgeball League coming to you it's sometime here in 2018. I can give you that much. So let's finish it off. We got about 4 minutes here to go in the broadcast. Are All-Star games even relevant anymore?
Relevant? No, I wouldn't say so, because they don't really. The only relevance they had was when MLB made it, the World Series home field advantage. That was relevant because you really needed that, and they needed to win that game. But now it's just kind of I don't want to call it a spectacle, but it's like it's a for fun thing. Most of them do it at the middle of the season, but football, it's at the end. I like having it at the middle of the season for those other sports. I like having like a little break from baseball. Okay, 3 months of baseball, we need a break. Let's have an all-star game. But for the skills competition, what do you think about having all the Steelers base Steelers have a race around the bases? Like, wouldn't you love to see D. Gordon, Gerard Dyson, and some of those other speeds, Billy Hamilton, just run around the bases and see who gets to home first?
No, I'm with you. Yeah, I think that's the whole idea that I had. I would say probably, most, as I don't know if people know or not, like in football, it's a 40-yard dash that they do times. And for baseball, it's a 60-yard dash because that's the distance it is between home and second. Because doubles are so important. So I think that if they can do that, if they can increase it to all the way around the bases, I think that'd be awesome. But I also think that they might rip a hammy or something, and the next thing you know, they're out of the playoff race. But yeah, I mean, that stuff, that would be exciting for me. That'd be fantastic. So with the last 3 minutes here or so that we have left, we're gonna go to the heart with Anthony Hartwig. So I'm gonna give you I want one thought on each of the major All-Star games on how to fix it so it's more relevant. Okay, we're going to start with hockey. Go.
You picked the sport that I have no knowledge of. Hockey. I don't know. I can't answer that. I'm sorry, DJ.
Okay, basketball.
Answer hockey.
Basketball.
Make it a game instead of make. There's no defense. There's zero defense. You have to put some kind of stakes on these games. I mean, I wouldn't want to see it be like the championship home field advantage because I thought that was way too much. But winner gets. I wouldn't even. I mean, I don't want to do a bonus like NFL either.
Winner splits a mil.
What?
Winner splits $1 million.
Yeah, let's just do that. I mean,
okay.
Yeah. Kind of stakes on it so the players care about winning the game. That way you're actually seeing a game unfold. You know what I mean?
Okay. Or, I mean, if Kia is the major sponsor, Kia, if you're listening, props right here, product placement. I have a Kia Optima sitting in the driveway. If Kia is the sponsor, why don't they all get a car? You know what I mean? They do that in the major leagues for like the MVP. But let's say, imagine if there's a car on the line or an SUV or a truck for every winner of the All-Star game for the NBA. Okay, NBA's there. Pro Bowl, make it relevant.
Pro Bowl. I liked having it after the Super Bowl, one thing, because then you have your best stars there. You don't have players that didn't make. It's not like a consolation bowl. Pro Bowl. I like what they're doing now. I mean, the winner gets 64, the loser gets 32. So the winner gets like a double bonus.
Yep, I'm with you. That's
I saw it. I saw it in the last 5 minutes of this year's game. I saw the players care about that extra $32,000.
No, I'm with you. I love it. I love the fact that you want to have it after the Super Bowl. Gives the NFL one more week and something to cherish. So, all right, and last and finally, the Major League Baseball.
I think baseball has it. I mean, when you talk about the way people talk about the All-Star game, when the way people scrutinize over the lineups that the coaches are going to come out with, it is relevant in my opinion. I mean, it's not as relevant as it used to be, but I think it's the model right now in professional sports.
Here's my ticket for all of them, and this is around the clock, right? So I guess except for the exception of the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl's got to stay in warm weather. I would say the number one thing to do is give the All-Star games to the fans. Give it back to the fans and the fans that care. So 2019, it's going to be in Cleveland. The All-Star game for baseball, having really it boils down to, if it's you kind of like they do with the teams, the managers, right? So if you lose the conference championship, you're the head coach of the Pro Bowl, or if you lose, the next year you're the coach of the Major League All-Star game. If you win the I guess championship, you have the first rights to host the All-Star game the next year, and what that does is it boosts your economy. The fans get excited about it, and it's kind of a double-edged sword. Now, I can see where people get mad, like a dynasty, what
would you do if the Patriots host the Pro Bowl every year? Because
they can always decline it. They can always say no, and then you go to, essentially the next best. So let's this year be the Eagles. So if you don't have it, in New England, you can have it in Philadelphia. Tell me how, or the draft, or you can pick something to host that gets people excited about. That boosts the economy because it's well deserved. These players, these fans deserve it because they're, for the most part, selling out stadiums. Now, obviously, that's not going to bode well for Cleveland on the NFL side. But again, like if they're 0-16 and the fans aren't showing up to the games, do they really deserve to have a Pro Bowl in Cleveland or to have a draft in Cleveland? I'm sorry, I don't think so. It should always be about the fans, and I think that's where the XFL is going to have it right. So that's my last thought, my friend. Our time is up. I thank you so incredibly much for joining us today. It was a great conversation. It was an honor to have you here on the Burrito. It's an honor to broadcast with you every time we do the Raiders games, and I'm sure that our fans and our viewers got a lot out of our conversation today and the show today, because you brought it, man. You did excellent on short notice. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll call it a hearty breakfast. How's that?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, all right? Just because you're a guest host on Friday, Free Agent Friday here. No, we're gonna have you back, and we're gonna have you back a lot, man. So thank you for joining us.
No, it's been a pleasure, and it's been fun. Thank you for having me. Go Royals, go Jackets, go South Range, go Chiefs.
Oh, go away. that does it for the Breakfast Burrito on this Friday. It is Groundhog Day, and Anthony has gone nuts. So that wraps up the Breakfast Burrito. Thank you guys for watching. Tune in on Monday, 10 o'clock, or make sure you check out YSN. Don't forget to check out and chime in on our social media channels. Stephon Marbury, trash or treasure, with his shoes and with his career. That's all for us. Yes.
Do we have content coming up today with the jerseys and the Coach's Corner?
Yes, we will have content coming up. The G. Burbick player of the game, or G. Burbick Farms player of the game, was Brooke Sauerwein. You're going to see her jersey hanging up on social media with a little bit of a bite from her. And we'll also have Coach's Corners up tonight. We also got a lot of great games. I know Wellsville, off the top of my head, Wellsville is playing tonight, as well as Columbiana and Latonia. I'll have the call on YSN Latonia and YSN Columbiana. So make sure you tune in for some great basketball action. And as always, if you have questions, comments, concerns, excitement, make sure you hit us up. Anthony Hartwig, what's your hashtag, brother? How can people reach you?
Twitter, ahartwig01, or follow the South Range account, SR Athletics. And that's it. Facebook, I'm on everything. Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. Follow me. I'm a good follow. I think DJ can give me props for that. I'm a good follow.
He's okay. He's one of those okay follows. No, I definitely follow Anthony. He's got he's got a lot of insight. He brought a lot to the show today. So for Anthony Hartwig, I am DJ Yoakley. That's a wrap on your breakfast burrito for Friday, February 2nd. So long, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.